Occasionally here at home, we like to run our air conditioners in our RV to keep the humidity down inside. However, I don't have 30 amp service in my garage, so we like to use our generator. Well, that worked with our old RV, but it's not working with the new RV, so I'm going to change that today.
What have you been up to?
I've been riding on a daydream.
Thanks for checking out RV Daydream. Today what we're going to do is show you an overview of basically what it's going to take to get a air conditioner unit or two air conditioning units, like in our case, to run on a generator that might not be able to power it otherwise, and that's with a micro air soft start. I bought two micro air soft starts. I'm not paid by them. This is my own little deal. I just wanted to show you what you could do with them. Now, this isn't going to be an installation video. If you want to see installation videos, there's plenty out there, and I'll tell you quite honestly though, the instructions are so easy and so clear, I don't think that you need to watch a video on that other than just get an overview of what it looks like. So the deal is, we've got two rooftop AC units. One is a 15,000 BTU and the other is a 13,500 BTU. And the 13.5, that's a pretty standard one that comes on most RVs. But we did option in not only two units that are up there, but we did option in one bigger unit, like I said, a 15,000. So in the unit here, this is the main upgrade that we did, and that was to go to a 15,000 BTU air conditioner to replace the 13.5 that came with it standard. And then we added the other one that's in the bedroom that is 13,500 BTU. For whatever reason, our generator cannot run this AC unit. Although it's supposed to, it doesn't. And I'm not exactly sure why. The generator is a Champion dual fuel, and I've been very happy with it. But 13,500 BTU seems to be all that thing likes to run. I've tried everything that I could. It just won't do it. However, we wanted some other options anyways. And that has to do with the generator and mounting and potentially going with a different size generator. I'm standing at the back of the RV because I think at some point what we're going to end up doing, since this RV is so much longer and heavier than our old RV, is extend this out, the bumper out and the frame out, and mount a generator back here. The reason is because the power point is right around the corner here, right here. So for us to be able to run a generator whenever we stop somewhere that's boondock smart and you're able to run your generator without disturbing anybody, to have it sitting back here would be a nice easy plug-in. I could get a nice short plug and plug it directly in. Now, as you can imagine, the generator that we currently have, it weighs about 100 pounds, somewhere in that neighborhood, maybe a little over, because it has a electric start. So that means it has a battery on board, and it also has a starter, which weighs a little bit more. But we were contemplating maybe going to a couple of smaller generators and to see what we could get away with. Now, the smaller generators, of course, not only are smaller in size overall, but they put out less wattage. So for us to be able to run a rooftop AC unit, that would be priority. That's the only way that we could get a smaller one. So the way you do that is with micro air soft starts, and let me talk about those a little bit. These are what the units look like whenever you receive them, and you also most likely want to go ahead and buy the installation kit. I have a lot of wiring stuff myself. However, there's no sense in me hunting down all these connectors whenever they supply it in a kit for just a little bit more money. Now, both these units are identical, and they cover almost every RV you can imagine. The wiring on these things are very easy, and what they do for your starting capacity of your air conditioner is, instead of your compressor taking a big jolt of electricity to get it to run, these things learn how much it takes to get the compressor to run on each individual unit. They're smart. They learn on their own, and they ramp up the energy and then apply it to the compressor, instead of you storing a whole bunch of energy like in a hard start capacitor and then releasing it all at once. And the thing is once it's starting, once your air conditioner is running, it doesn't take very much electricity to keep it running. The problem lies is whenever the air compressor or the air conditioning inside gets to a certain temperature and it shuts off the compressor. and then it kicks the compressor back on again. You know how that sounds. You're sitting in your RV, and then all of a sudden the noise seems to get a little quieter. Maybe you even have a system that shuts the fan off whenever the compressor shuts off, and then it kicks back on again. And that jolt, it's just killing the electricity demand and really draining whatever the power source is to get those things started. It's one of the biggest drains that you could put on your system whenever that air compressor is kicking on and off. And as you can imagine, if you have two of them running, that's why you have to have a 50 amp service. I believe that these are going to run now on 30 amp service. I think that I can get both air conditioners to run on 30 amp service. So that will open up opportunities. So let's talk about options and opportunities. As I mentioned about the two smaller generators, the nice thing about that is if we get into the situation where it's not too hot and we can get away with running just one of our rooftop AC units, if you install one of these micro air soft starts, you can actually run one of your rooftop AC units with one of those smaller generators. I mean, that was something that was unheard of just, maybe 10 years ago, because they didn't really have this technology to the perfection level that they do now. And those smaller generators, once you kicked on the AC unit, I mean, it just popped the breaker, the built-in breaker in the generator. And what happens is those generators continue to run, but it shuts off all the power output. Now, the nice thing is those little generators, if you want to run just one rooftop AC unit, you might be able to run and charge your battery too. The batteries that are on the unit. I mean, whenever you have your unit plugged in and you have your battery turned on, if you do have an on-off switch, it'd be nice to be able to run one rooftop AC unit, maybe the smaller one, and have the battery charger on to charge the batteries to some extent. Both of those things do take a decent amount of amperage to run. However, again, with this micro air soft start, it'll allow it to run at a much lower amp level. So again, we're not going to do a step-by-step installation on the micro air soft start. We're just going to show you basically an overall look. So you're going to be getting on your roof, obviously. I've got a blanket down, and you're going to take both the covers off. Now you got to remember that the RV is completely unplugged and the battery's disconnected, so I think you may want to do the same. Now the battery shouldn't make a difference, but I don't want to take a chance. But yeah, once we take this off, we'll take a look underneath. Now I've already hit these a couple times with my hands, make sure no wasps are going to come flying out, but I want to show you basically what they look like once they're installed. This is what it's going to look like when you get up here on this model. Without a start capacitor, it looks like there's a lot of wires that I'm going to be tapping into, and the main ones we're going to be concerned with is, of course, the three coming from the compressor right now, and we'll just follow the instructions that are on here. Nice, huh? Just this one here, you don't have to pay attention to these. This is basically saying what it looks like, most likely from the factory, and that's what you're going to do. Here's what it looks like. I get it all buttoned back up again. The box is a little crooked in there, and it doesn't really make a difference. It's adhered to the wall. Then I put a couple screws. Now they don't supply the screws, you got to supply your own screws, but not a big deal. That's it. It's all buttoned up. Yeah, let me go ahead and put the cover back on this mess, and I'm glad that I got up here. We had a few ants. I killed like 5 ants that were up here. I don't know where they came from. They're not around here. Must have brought them back from West Branch. All right, just like everything else, the second one goes a lot faster, and it's all tucked up in there. It's all done. So now I just got to put on this access cover and then put the road cover back on. Anyways, now I can't wait to do a bunch of testing on this stuff. All right, so some time has passed. We're at a campground. We have 50 amp service. And what I'm doing is I'm going through the cycling process. And this is something that you got to kind of know about your air conditioner before you start. And that is what it sounds like when the compressor kicks on. And it used to be that you had to wait 5 minutes in between each start. Well, the micro air soft start has a feature that's built into it that won't allow the compressor to kick in until a certain amount of time has passed since the last time it had been running with the compressor on. So when you turn on your rooftop air, most of our air conditioners, the fan may kick on first. And then if you wait just a few seconds, you'll hear the compressor kick in. And that's to help reduce load. That's what the air conditioner manufacturers have done to help reduce load on the AC units and their overall starting ability and how much voltage it drains. The problem with that is if you have an older one and you turn it on, like our old 92 Terry, whenever you turned it on, you had low fan, high fan, and then you had low cool and then high cool. And there was no, fan only, and then all of a sudden the compressor kicked on. When you put the compressor to low cool, the fan was already running. So whenever you do this starting procedure and you start it up for the first time, of course, like in my case, you'll hear the fan kick on. And then once the fan kicks on, a couple seconds or a few seconds after that, maybe 10 seconds at the most, you'll hear the compressor kick on. And once that compressor kicks on, the micro air is learning how much voltage it took to start it. And at that point, you can run it just for a couple more seconds and then go ahead and shut it off, or just shut it off right then. Now, there's two different ways. Like I said, at that point, you can set a timer for 5 minutes. That's what I'm doing here. And then whenever the timer goes off, you can restart it again. Or if you want to trust the micro air system and that built-in automatic timer that won't kick the compressor right back on again, you can just turn it back on again and let it run, and then it will of course kick on the air. Again, there's plenty of instructions online about this. All I'm doing now is just training it, and I just wanted to show you basically what's involved on this RV to train this unit. Then I'm going to go train the other unit inside the bedroom, and hopefully it will quit being 92 degrees in here. So that's what it sounds like. Alright, we'll dismiss, and I'll go over here. I'm going to hit system and make it say high cool. Then we're going to go ahead and let this kick on. It'll be making some noise, and then I'll have to listen for when the compressor kicks on. Like right now, it's just warm air. There, just made a slight clicking noise. I don't think you guys are going to be able to hear that on camera, but... And now I can hear the compressor running up there. Okay, so as much as I'd love to cool myself off and leave this running, I'm going to go ahead and turn this off again, which all you got to do is hit system and off. It'll kick off. All right, and then we'll go ahead and start the timer again. Okay, YouTube, now that we've got those micro air easy starts trained, you seen me at the campground there, I got them all trained and they worked great for our whole camping trip. Now we've got the generator side of things. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that Champion generator and we're going to run it on gasoline, and we're going to try to power both rooftop air conditioners. All right, before we run the Champion, we're going to run this Atima generator, and I've got the air conditioning on, the 13.5 unit. And you can see maybe it's at 11.7 amps. Now the battery charger is not plugged in. The refrigerator is running on propane, and only one rooftop air is on. So now what I'm going to do is go flip on the other rooftop air. This is a 3,000 watt generator, and I've got it hooked up to the 30 amp output using a dog bone adapter to the 50 amp cord.
I was doing a bit of experimenting in there, and as you could probably tell, the experimentation did not work. I ran both rooftop air conditioners. It worked fine. There was no issues whatsoever. And then I turned on the refrigerator. I turned it off of gas and I turned it on to electricity. And that's when there was a problem. All right, so definitely both units can be run with the air. However, they cannot run with anything else whatsoever. No other accessory inside there. No battery charger, no compressor for the refrigerator, nothing like that. If you want to run both air conditioners with a 3,000 watt generator on a 30 amp cord. So that's kind of interesting. Now the Champion puts out 3,400 watts. This one's only 3,000 watts. So there could be a difference there. And we're going to test that out with the Champion generator to see if we can get both rooftop AC units going. I don't know if it will, because I've seen that the running amps are real close to what both of those units pull. So that means if one is running and the other tries to kick on, it's going to go over. I don't know how much it's going to handle, but we'll try it. So right now I have the battery charger off on this unit. I have the battery charger off on the RV, and I have the econo mode off. So the generator's seeing the least amount of load that it can. Right now inside, the refrigerator's running on the propane, not the electricity. I don't have any lights on in here. We have a few things plugged in, obviously. You know, the TVs are on standby, the stereo's on standby, the microwave's on standby, but it's 100 degrees in here. How nice is that? Let's go ahead and try to turn on both units and see what happens. So we're gonna go to mode, and that's gonna be high cool for zone 2, and mode high cool for zone 1. Let's go out here and see how the generator handles it. First, the fans are gonna kick on, which they just did. I just heard it. And now both units will kick on, both compressors. And there's the second one. There is no output warning light coming on, so that's good. And the generator is definitely under a heavier load, no doubt about it, because we're real close to the maximum running amps that generator offers. Alright, so as you run your rooftop AC units, and it's hot outside like it is today, you're going to notice that they will draw more amperage as the time it's running goes on. So the first 5 minutes, the first 10 minutes, the amperage will climb even though the compressors have already kicked on, and it's just you know, a loss of energy because of the heat that everything running up there is generating. You have a loss of energy. Now, what I'm getting at is, with that said, I look now and the overload is lit up clearly. It's still running, but it's definitely in an overload mode. Yeah, I believe that there's definitely an issue with trying to run two rooftop AC units, one that's 15,000 BTU and the other one is 13,500 BTU. Even with the Micro Air Easy Starts that I have installed, the problem is the running amps of both those units push this 30 amp unit to its limit on its running amps. Again, the running amps on this, I think, are around 27, 28 when running on gasoline, and we're definitely right there. So I might have to back off that one AC unit just for the generator itself, knowing that it's not right that overloads lights on. I'm going to come to the conclusion that it cannot run 2 AC units, even with micro air easy starts. Okay, so it's already dropped down to 95 in here. I went ahead and turned off the 13,500 BTU air conditioner. And I've got the 15,000 still running on high cool. And I turned on the refrigerator air compressor. And of course this generator is doing just fine with just that small load. And you can see the overload light went out. Not bad. I'm going to turn on the battery charger to charge this battery because I always want to make sure that thing stays topped off. And I'm going to go ahead and put one more load on it, probably about a 7 amp load, by turning on this battery charger. So now the battery is connected also. So you hear the generator running back there. Unfortunately, 2 micro air easy starts, one on a 13.5, one on a 15K. There's just no way that you can run it on a 30 amp circuit whenever those 2 units running amperage is real close to 30 amps. So just take that for what it's worth. So if you're at a campground and you want to run both rooftop ACs and you think you can get away with the 30 amp, it all depends on how good that 30 amp service is at the campground. Now, if you do something like I'm actually considering and get a Hughes autoformer, that will change the amount of voltage that is actually being inputted into the RV via the Hughes autoformer unit, boosting electricity, boosting power. I don't know how well it would do though. It's hard to say. I don't know if that would work or not. That might be in a future video. But as far as the micro air easy starts, all of the information's down below. You can see what they do, the options that they give me. I now can run my rooftop AC unit, either one of them, with my Champion dual fuel. I'm sure it'll run on propane just fine. It always has. And I should be able to also run things like my battery charger and my refrigerator compressor too, even if I'm running just a single 15,000 BTU AC unit. That will get us by. That will let us do a lot of things. Speaking of which, I'm going to turn it down to eco mode. I appreciate you guys watching. Again, all the links are down below for any of these products. The Atima generator, the Champion generator, the Honda 2200 generator, the Micro Air soft starts. I'll have a link to those. And anything else I can come up with, I'll put down there too. I appreciate it. And as always, we hope to see you out there. Bye.